YouTube. What's the word? Welcome back to the channel. In this video, I'll be quickly breaking down how I started my clothing brand with just $40, taking it all the way up to six-figure months in less than a year. You know, for those who don't believe me, boom, quick screenshot. I really don't do screenshots, probably like the last one you see, only because they really don't mean too much, right? I can show you $1 million screenshot of one of my stores, and I can also show you my bank account at the time, and they simply just don't add up, right? So, you know, if you post screenshots, good for you, more power to you, not my brand. But with that being said, this video is going to be a lot of value. I'm going to get real transparent, real vulnerable, and I'm pretty much just going to break down my clothing brand journey so far, you know, throughout this first year, and tell you a little bit more about my goals, some of our downfalls, you know, things that work really well. Before we get all the way into the video, do me this huge favor, like and subscribe. I really appreciate the support. But with that being said, let's go ahead and get straight into it. So if you're not familiar with my clothing brand, it's called Y'all Need Jesus. Here's some of the socials right here. And this is all we've grown in the past year. So we've just hit our 1 year mark. I would say extreme growth, especially off like starting off. But even recently we had extreme growth. Had a couple slow periods and whatnot. But so far I'm really proud of what I've done. My goal when I first started was to hit $1 million in 1 year. Fell short, actually fell really short, but I think my numbers are something that, you know, a first year business owner would be very proud of. You know, the brand is called Y'all Need Jesus. It's a faith-based apparel brand. I wouldn't necessarily call it like a streetwear brand. You know, we're not going to give you the most high quality pieces and the most creative pieces, but we're really just selling a message, right? And that message seems to resonate with the right people. And I kind of had this idea when I first started. The name right there is going to sell. So how we came about the name was I've worked with many e-commerce brands. I've had my own brands in the past too as well. So my girl always sees me working with these other brands, getting these results for other people. So she was like, I need something like that. Like, I need my own brand. So I was just keeping her accountable. And, you know, one morning I just asked her, hey, did you ever come up with a name for the brand you're thinking about? Because she did say she wanted a clothing brand, and she started to say she specifically wanted like a faith-based. So she was like calling out a few names. Then she said, Y'all Need Jesus, and like immediately I knew that was the one. And what stood out to me was the fact that I knew it was controversial, right? So I knew it would be like a tribal situation where some people really hate that name, and then some people like really love it and they defend it, and it's almost like a cult-like following, right? I want to talk a little bit about the research phase and kind of what went into that when I first started. So I just want to give you a little bit of background about myself. I started my first clothing brand back when I was in college, called Project Knopf, and you know, it had some success. So I've been in the e-commerce industry for a long time, but a lot of my experience specifically from clothing brand came when I worked with God is Dope, right? When I was at God is Dope, they were doing $2 million. When I first got there, they were doing $2 million a month, right? Mind you, I said $2 million a month. So if you do the math, let me do the math real quick. That's bare minimum of $65,000 a day, right? So I was able to firsthand see this. I was able, my job was to send out a lot of the texts and emails. So I got firsthand knowledge of how to speak to customers, like the brand voice that we're putting out. I got firsthand knowledge of fulfillment. I got firsthand knowledge of operations, cash flow, what type of employees, what type of team you build. And that was, I'm very grateful for that situation. What's crazy is I had my own seven-figure brand by the time I even joined the God is Dope team. So you can even say, I would even say that was like an internship. I really paid for like a mentorship. They just happened to pay me, you know, so I took like a pay cut. But my most important thing I want to take away from that was I want to see how an 8-figure brand is ran. The best way to learn, in my opinion, is experience, and I got that experience firsthand. So shout out to Sherrod, shout out to God is Dope, shout out to Tori, shout out Jay. Big salute. They did it big, and they're still doing great things. But with that being said, I had firsthand knowledge, and I saw the customer profiles. I saw what their customers looked like, what their customers wanted, how their customers shop, and I kind of knew that's what I wanted to, you know, replicate, that type of success. So on top of that, once I figured out that we want to do this faith-based apparel, you know, I have a account called Shop Hunter. Shop Hunter is a tool that you can use where you plug in a Shopify link, and what it does is tell you like, it gives you like an idea of what type of revenue that brand is doing for that month. You can look at the last 7 days, last 30 days, last 60 days, whatever time span, right? It's not as accurate now because Shopify recently released some fixes to it, but it still gives you an idea. It's not necessarily really accurate. I wouldn't use it for accuracy, but it does give you an idea of, you know, a ballpark number. So all the faith-based apparel companies I knew, I would just plug it into Shop Hunter, and I would get an idea what type of revenue they're doing. I could see the products that were selling the best, and that would give me an idea of what type of content I would need to put out, what type of products we would need to put out, and a little bit more information. So Shop Hunter, that was a big one right there. One of the biggest hacks I do too as well, when I'm doing like research prior to, you know, starting anything, what I would do is start liking these social media pages. So let's say God is Dope. Say if I want to use God is Dope as an example, I would go to God is Dope, start liking things. I would go to their website, add stuff to cart. What this would do, I would start getting a lot of their ads. So I would do this with multiple brands. Whenever these ads would pop up, I would save them, send them to my girl, comment on them, add to cart. Like I said, go to their website and pretty much act like I'm about to purchase. And what this is doing is pretty much just tricking Facebook, right? Facebook now sees me as a interested customer, and they're just going to continue to feed me different ads. So I was starting to get more ads and more ads and more ads. And like I said, I would just save it, get an idea of what's working. And I would even go to the Facebook ad library. So this is where it got really, really good too. So I would go to the Facebook ad library, and I would just see all the different type of content that they're putting out for the ads, right? So what type of ad creatives, how long have they been running this ad? If they've been running this ad for 3 or 4 months, I know that type of ad is working. So now I have an idea what type of ads I could do when I start spinning. So on top of going to their Facebook ad library, I would also go to their tag photos. So what I would do here, I call this the tag photo method. And what I'm doing is just pretty much looking at their customers, right? Who are their customers? What do they look like? I would go to, you know, click onto some of their customers' pages and just see what type of activities they're doing. But what this did was give me an idea of where these customers are actually wearing these products at. And that will help me understand, you know, the potential customer and kind of give me an idea of what my customer avatar would look like when I actually start launching. I want to go ahead and tell you, you know, the investment cost of what it took us to get started. I believe it was back in September of 2023 or something like that when my girl told me about the brand name, right? So immediately I knew that was the one. I'm the type of person that works on like this. So I'm not looking to make everything perfect. I'm looking to get started, and then I'll figure things out as we go. She told me that in the morning. I want to say by 3 hours later that day, I had the logo done. Very simple logo right here. I'll go ahead and pop it up right there. Very minimalist, black and white. I kept it very simple, right? Now, I actually have no plans on making any changes to the logo. I love it. And so, yeah, I had the logo done. I made that on Canva. I already paid for Canva. So within like the next 24 to 48 hours, I ended up buying the domain. So that's about $11 right there. So far, I've only spent $11. But the real cost, right, investment, was the $40 sample tee that we bought from the $40 tee. So within 2 days, I pretty much got her confirmation like, hey, is this mock-up good? I think it was just like a big Y'all Need Jesus on the front. And I went ahead and ordered it. It's like a simple shocker wear t-shirt. Came in like 3 or 4 or 5 days. And as soon as it came, I remember us just going to the beach, which is right down the street, and start making some content immediately. Like I said, I'm the type of person that works on speed. I don't want to wait to make everything perfect. Because if it's between me and you're waiting to make everything perfect, I've already started. I got a head start. I already know what doesn't work. I already know what works. And more than likely, I'll get to success a lot quicker than the person who is waiting to make everything perfect, because it's never going to be perfect. But yeah, like I said, I knew the name was going to stick because, like I said, it was controversial. It was tribal. You can almost think of it like the Donald Trump effect, where you have the people who are going to defend him to their last breath, and then you got the people who absolutely hate him. And it's crazy, when I knew things were validated, I'll tell you a little bit more about my posting strategy, but one of the biggest things that I knew was validation was 2 things, right? I had her wear the t-shirts at just random places we were going to throughout the day, and she started getting compliments. Like, older people would comment to her, even like the homeless people would be like, oh, I love that shirt right there. So just seeing that word of mouth of people like this giving us like confirmation in real life, I knew it was a hit, right? I knew it was a hit when we first came up with the name, but that was just more validation. And then also, this is the turning point where I was just like, okay, this is definitely about to work. And it's crazy. I'm gonna sound crazy once I say it, but I started posting, and I was getting little views on TikTok, but then we end up getting a video to go like, I think maybe like 5,000, 10,000 views. And I had 2 comments and they were both negative. It was saying, asterisk, we need Jesus. And then the other one was like something along the same lines, right? You know, the old me would have been like, dang, like maybe this is not the one. The more mature, like the mature business person, I was like, oh yeah, we got to hit. So it was 2 hate comments, 2 negative comments is what gave me the validation to that this is going to be big. So yeah, that's just a little backstory about how we started with $40. Technically, it was like $50 with the domain, but mind you, I never used the domain until about 2 months later, and I'll explain exactly why. So I want to go into a social media aspect and how we started our explosive growth. So this was the time of TikTok Shop starting to get hot. I had another brand that was on TikTok Shop. We were doing really well. You know, I was even like, with my personal brand, I was telling people you need to get on TikTok Shop. I was trying to convince brands to get on TikTok Shop. People weren't listening to me because it's a different avenue, right? It's just something different. A lot of brands are not just going to just up out of nowhere hop on there, especially if they don't have any validation for it. So that's cool. I was like, all right, forget telling y'all. I'm just going to do it myself. So hopped on TikTok Shop immediately, right? So TikTok Shop was going to be my source of sales, not Shopify, right? That's not necessarily traditional, but that's what I decided to do. And I used TikTok as my source of social media. I'm not even sure if I had the Instagram. I think I might have got the like username, but I don't even know if we actually set up the profile at the time. So I went straight TikTok. And in my head, I was thinking, I'm going to post 100 videos. That's it. I'm not gonna look at the views. It's not gonna be the most high quality videos. I'm going to post 100. I'm going to change something up every time, and eventually one of those videos are going to hit, right? And I end up being right. So in my head, I'm thinking, all right, 100 videos. The quicker I get to 100 videos, the more data I'm going to have to determine what's actually working and what's not. So I remember just like laying on this couch, just mindlessly, just like post like 5 videos per day. You could go back on the social media. I don't think I deleted anything or archived anything, but you could go back on the TikTok and see me posting 5 times a day. See how like sad that content was. It was not the best content. Not necessarily proud of it, but I'm proud of the quantity. And since my girl, you know, she had some like UGC and like some modeling experience, it was really me, her, iPhone, and a sample t-shirt. As soon as we got that sample t-shirt, we went to the beach. So we probably made about 25 clips that day. And I just used those clips to start making like 10 videos within that first week. Really, it probably came out to like 20 videos, but like that first week, I was just like, boom, getting them out there. Mind you, I'm still at $40. I haven't paid for a model. I haven't paid for a website yet. I haven't paid for a super expensive camera. I have a camera, a nice camera we could have used, but I wanted, you know, with my research that I did, I noticed a lot of these brands were using like iPhone authentic content. So I knew perfect. That's all I need with this iPhone. If you got an iPhone, you're good. So with that being said, you know, I started getting more views and more views and more views. We started getting videos that were going to 100,000 views right there. And that was game changing, but I've had brands where we hit 100,000 views. So it really wasn't, in my eyes, it really wasn't anything crazy. But once again, it was just more validation. I would say the video that really changed everything for us is when we started doing public interviews. We went to Target, started doing public interviews, just asking questions. I think it was something along the lines of, you know, guess the price of this hoodie and we'll give it to you for free. And those videos started doing really, really well. Started getting like 500,000 views. So we doubled down on those, started doing more interviews. And then it was one particular video where for some reason we booked a flight to like New York or something. Or it might have been to like Atlanta or something. I'm not sure. But we booked a flight. And for some reason, me and her were not sitting together, right? So I was like, all right, cool. I got the hoodie on. Make sure you capture me when I get on. Because she got on the plane first. Make sure you capture me walking on. And for some reason, she was occupied. So she didn't end up getting the video. And I was like, I remember just being like tight the entire time. Like, yo, like we need every single clip. But it was when we were getting off the plane. Mind you, I was sitting in front of her. So I'm getting off first. And I can actually probably show the video right here. But yeah, it just looked the thing about this video, it looked very authentic. It looked very real. It looked like it came from somebody else. I remember people some of my friends just like saying they were seeing it all over their TikTok, and they were asking me, they're like, dang, did somebody random take that video? Because like that video looks very real. Whole time it was her who took the video, and that's pretty much how a lot of our viral videos are. A lot of my ad creatives is just me and her. So with that being said, that video went crazy. I had like a very emotional thing. It was like a Frank Ocean song behind it, and a caption that says something like, just seeing this on the airplane, and I forgot to the effects of it, but it was something that was relatable and something like, you know, this just changed the way I looked at life or something like that. Cool, creative, very easily you can easily replicate it. I see a lot of brands replicating it right now. Shout out to them because it works. Like I see they're getting a lot of views, a lot of likes on their posts. Good for them. But those were the videos that changed everything for us. The early growth explosion was really, really dope. You know, we went from 0 followers to 100,000 followers on TikTok in less than 90 days, right? And I don't even think I told anybody that I had a brand at that time. And I think that's the first day I announced it, when I had 100,000 followers. And, you know, that was cool and whatnot. I want to say we had like $85,000 in revenue within the first 90 days. It's crazy because my goals was to hit 100,000 in revenue like in the first 30 days, first 60 days, but fell a little bit short. But once again, 85,000 in 90 days is really not bad, especially, mind you, we weren't running any ads. This is all organic. I could talk a little bit more about how I was fulfilling orders to start with. I didn't want to buy a bulk order ahead of time because I just simply didn't know if this t-shirt was going to work, right? So we're on TikTok Shop. Mind you, TikTok Shop, you had to ship out your orders within 3 days or you start to get penalized. So I was taking a risk by putting it up for sale. I just wanted to see the sales come, right? I believe on the first one, I even had the shipping settings wrong. So I ended up having to like pay 2 shipping labels just to send out 1. But I didn't care because all I wanted to see was that first sale. That's all I need sometimes, just seeing that one sale. And I'm ready to go from there. We got the first sale, and I believe I used print on demand, like Printify or Printful, just to fulfill that order. Probably broke even, if anything, probably lost money on that sale. But like I said, I just wanted that first sale just to prove that everything that we were working on was right. So I believe after like the first 5 sales, I was doing print on demand, barely making anything. That's when I started to get desperate to find a local print shop. I just moved to a new city in the Tampa area. And I remember driving around Tampa, just Googling screen printing shops. I drove to like 5 different shops in Tampa, drove across the bridge, went to St. Pete, went to like 3 more, no luck. So I was like, dang. So I just finally went to my Instagram, say, hey, does anybody know any screen printers? And I just happened to have somebody in Tampa put me on with one of their screen printers. That same day, that screen printer was able to make 1 shirt for me, right? He did the most just to make 1 shirt for me, and I salute to him because that meant everything for me. I was able to fulfill that order, not get penalized, and started building up that relationship and finally put in a bulk order with them. So now that we're validated, I found a print shop, very cool dudes, put in a small bulk order, and now it was really just like, all right, let's go, because now we spent money up front and now it's time to make it back. Now that we have the print shop, we were just going to fulfill orders ourselves here, just at this apartment. You know, it's not too many orders, maybe a couple orders per day. We can easily handle that. But then we did start to have fast growth. We had another viral video, and this one started to go really, really crazy. So now we're getting 30, 40, 50 orders a day, right? And we're traveling a lot. So TikTok Shop, you have to ship out the orders in 3 days. Shopify, you really ship them out whenever you want. But because we were traveling, Print Shop had a great idea to start shipping out our orders there. What this does is allow us to not worry about shipping. It was amazing at the time. And only thing I didn't like about that is I didn't have full control. So we ended up bringing it back in-house. But that was the operations for a little bit. They would print and they would ship out. And, you know, all we had to do was focus on marketing. I don't necessarily suggest that for most brands. I would say probably don't start outsourcing anything until you're about $50,000 per month consistently. But at the time, it just made sense. But we ended up bringing it in-house. So you can always bring it back in-house if you feel like, if you want to test it out for yourself. But speaking on TikTok TikTok shop, I didn't have to build out a website. I didn't have to build on my email SMS list. I didn't have to do SEO. I didn't have to do all this branding. I didn't have to do product shots, all these different product shots and whatnot. So I skipped a lot of that grind and just used TikTok shop as a medium and started getting a lot of sales there. But once we started getting a lot of sales there, I knew it was time. So I ended up building out the website myself. I had plenty of experience. It took me like a day to build it out. I kept it very simple. To this day, it's very simple, but the product page is pretty high converting. So go take a look at the product pages if you want some ideas. But it's still very simple. I'm gonna keep that ideology throughout this journey. But I was able to set up email marketing, all the flows by myself, and I pretty much just used plain text. So just very simple. Wasn't high design, but it was pretty complex, right? So I was able to do that myself. That took me a couple of days. Set up the SMS, so set up the mobile pop-up so I could start collecting customers' phone numbers and emails. And we finally launched ads at the very end of Q4, right? Because organic was doing well, but now that I have a budget, I can start putting some money behind those organic videos that were going viral onto Meta. So the TikTok videos that were going viral, I would just use those on Meta to run ads on Instagram and Facebook, and they were performing really, really well. So now February hits. We're doing well on organic, and I think we hit like our first $25,000 month. What I used for data was Triple Well. So I went ahead and set up Triple Well, like using a free service. What this did was allow me to see in real time profits, in real time spending on ads, just performance based off of different channels in real time. And this is super helpful. So I see it on my phone. I can just check it instead of opening up Shopify, instead of getting on Facebook and see how much I spent there. I can see it all in one location. And I've recently updated to premium, like the pro plan, so I can see a little bit more insight. This is super helpful. So I highly suggest for you to at least get the free plan of Triple Well if you're serious about your numbers. And then now that we started getting sales on Instagram, I was starting to see a lot of people tag our photos. So now I can really put a face to what our customer looked like. So I had an idea what the customer looked like. And then once again, I just started getting more validation of what I thought they looked like and started seeing what they actually look like because they're reposting us. So now I'm getting more social proof. And once again, those are the type of things that keep you going. It's like small things. When you see people reposting and supporting your brand, that's the small things that keep you going. So yeah, as far as like the operations and fulfillment, I told you how the print shop we use, how we end up, outsourcing the fulfillment to them and then bringing it back. And I would start to have slow months. I just remember just being too far into my head, just thinking like not thinking too hard enough, right? And then something finally clicked and I just turned things right back up. So now we're back with we're still working with the print shop, but now my girl and I are fulfilling orders through this apartment, right? It got to a point where there was boxes everywhere and we couldn't even like cook dinner. We couldn't cook at all. I had to eat out every single day just because everything was a ship station. There was orders everywhere. There was shipping labels here. There's boxes there. But it got pretty hectic just because we were scaling really, really fast and really, really hard. For two people, I think it was very attainable, like still manageable, but it was tough trying to get, all those boxes up and down. And mind you, I have other brands and stuff like there too. So it was a couple things that led me to another situation. Once again, I live in Tampa, so I live next to the beach. We had a hurricane happen, and I remember us having to pretty much stop operations for 2 weeks. So in my head, I'm thinking like I could never let a hurricane stop me. So we moved our operations up to Atlanta, right? Working with one of my friends who has a print shop and a fulfillment center. So we started to get him to print our stuff and fulfill our orders too as well. So once again, I went back from in-house back to fulfillment in a whole different location. So that's currently what I'm using, that method right there. It works because they're a print shop and they're a fulfillment center. Just kind of like the same situation we had just in Atlanta. I really don't like packing order physically, but it does bring me some type of joy of us fulfilling orders, someone trusting in us to spend money with us, the money going to our account and us fulfilling their order and them leaving a good reviews. Yes, that does bring some type of joy to me, but packing orders does not bring any joy to me, right? Like I said, I've had brands for 5 years where we've had to pack 10,000 orders in 1 month, and I'm spending 10 hours of my day in the warehouse shipping. That's not fun to me, to be honest. And I wanted to avoid that, but I don't mind bringing it back in house either, because you have to do what you got to do. But That's no fun to me. So just a couple of problems we ran into. Scaling. We scaled fairly quickly. I guess some of the biggest issues we ran into was just like cash flow. It's probably one of the biggest things you're going to run into. I'm gonna take words from my mentor. You have to have your operations locked in. You have to have your marketing locked in. You have to have your cost of goods locked in. And there's other factors too as well. If you don't have all those moving at one, say if like your operations is failing, in our case, it was failing because printing was taking a lot longer than I thought it was. So in results, we had to give out a lot of refunds. So if everything's not locked in at once, some part of your business is going to break eventually, right? And we ran into that many times. So that's some of the issues that we ran into. The way we could have done it better, just leveraging other people, like other people's money. So credit cards, I would stay away from Shopify loans like that. Any of those fintech loans, not necessarily good for your brand. You know, sometimes you got to do what you got to do. But yeah, just having more funding would have been helpful rather than me like having to fund a lot of this myself. That's some of the issues I ran into. Operations, once again, so like the printing, once again, I'm not a printer, so that's kind of out of my control, especially like when these print shops have other clients and stuff they got to focus on. Totally understandable. So that's some of the biggest issues we worked on. So the way I'm fixing that now is currently working with people overseas. That way they can handle creating the product and printing over there, and we pretty much just skip a step. So it goes straight to the fulfillment center, or it can go straight to me and we ship it out. So that's an issue we had to run into, had to learn from, and get over the hump. Also, I would say some of the issues I ran into too is having too many SKUs. Like we would do drops and we wouldn't get any feedback from the customers prior. We just kind of guess what we think is going to work. We would put it out and it doesn't hit. So now we're just stuck with inventory. It's probably one of the biggest mistakes we ran into. So now I like to keep the SKUs very, very minimal, maybe 3 to 5 different SKUs. And do it like that. You know, as we start to get bigger, I'll start to introduce more. But there's no point of us having 20 different SKUs on the website and only 3 of them are actually bringing in the most money. And the rest, I'm just spending money and it's just sitting there, right? That's money. Your inventory sitting there is just money. It's better off in your bank account rather than just sitting right there. Those are a lot of the problems we ran into. Didn't really have an issue with getting traffic. Never really had an issue with getting views. Never really had an issue with getting sales. Most of my issues are mostly operation based, right? Things out of my control. I hold myself accountable for things, but some of this stuff was out of my control. But once again, I am the business owner. I'm the founder. So ultimately, it's all my fault, right? So whatever issues we ran into, I hold myself accountable, and it's all good. You know, you learn from it. If you don't learn from it, you keep doing the same thing, then you're not a serious human being. So what I'm doing now is just learning from it, and I'm just continuing to grow, right? So what's working, I'm going to double down. What's not working, we're completely cutting out. The current operations right now is really, I love to keep things lean. So I don't like outsourcing. I don't like agencies. I outsourced the fulfillment because it was starting to get to 50K per month, but I highly suggest for you to keep it as lean as possible. Learn as many skills as you possibly can. Learn through experience. Go buy a course. Go buy a mentorship. Join some Zoom calls. Ask a lot of questions. That's probably the best way to learn, because you do have to learn Facebook ads. You do have to learn email marketing, SMS marketing, content marketing, operations, logistics. You're wearing different hats when you're in this game. So learn as much as possible. If you try to outsource too early, it's going to hit you in your mouth pretty quickly, right? You'll learn that. So if you're not at $50,000 per month consistently, I probably wouldn't outsource unless you got a crazy job where you're able to just throw money towards it. So right now, my current setup is myself, my lady, and my virtual assistant, right? So my executive assistant, she helps me with everything, helps me with, I run multiple brands, so she sets up my schedule. She helps me take notes. She helps me organize things. She helps me with customer service. She does pretty much everything for me. So right now it's just a team of 3, and I'm going to keep it like that until maybe we consistently hit 150,000 per month, 200,000. Then I'll consider outsourcing some more stuff. But right now, I think that team is fine. I have a model/operation person. I got myself that does all the marketing and operations as well too. And then I have our virtual assistant that does pretty much everything. So some of the things I'm looking to get started this year is really dial in on our community. So building that part up right there. I want to build up as many loyal buyers as possible, as many repeat buyers, as many lifetime buyers as possible, because that's what's really going to keep my brand growing and keeping it steady and consistent. Another thing I want to do is just lock in our influencer outreach strategy. So a lot of influencers naturally post us without us having to do any outreach, sending out any packages, and that's amazing right there. So I want to put some system behind it where we can intentionally reach out to influencers, whether they're micro influencers or whether they're big influencers, and figure out some way that we can utilize them for either UGC content, getting new eyes on our brand, or just doing some like paid collabs with them. Also, I want to just dial in on our cash flow operations, like the boring stuff. I really want to lock that part in right there. I think I did a really good job of looking at the numbers last year, but now I need to reconsider a few things and just really just go all the way in and just like take the business very, very seriously. I think one thing that brand owners don't do is treat their brand like a real business. They try to treat it like a side hustle, and that's the exact type of results they get. That's probably the biggest thing is influencers, community, and just operations right there. Dial those in, and I think I should be able to hit my goal of consistent $150,000 months. Eventually, by the end of the year, I want to hit a $250,000 month, and I want to stay consistent right there. Y'all made it to the end of this video. I really appreciate you if you stayed all the way. It's a lot of value. I know it's a lot of yapping, so I appreciate y'all. Definitely go back and watch the video over a couple of times. Do me a favor and drop some comments below. Drop some questions below. I'll be happy to answer them. If I don't get to you on YouTube, feel free to shoot me a DM on Instagram at Tevin Holiday. And thanks for being a part of this journey. Do me a favor to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.